Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Next Gen Training Tactics for Successful Time Management. I'm Candace Thorson, Managing Editor at GovLoop, and today I'm also your moderator, so thanks so much for joining us. And I want to give a special thank you to our sponsors at WEPA for helping us put on this session. Before we start talking about our topic, though, I did want to note that we've just unveiled our agenda for our Next Gen Summit. It's our one-day professional development training program. So if you want to check out what sessions we're going to be offering, just go onto the Resources Center on your screen and take a look. The summit is free. It's entirely virtual. The date is this time is Wednesday, May 20th. And in case you've never attended a Next Gen Virtual Summit, I really, really encourage you to check it out and attend. It's really a special day. Now I have that PSA out of the way. Our topic for today is time management, like I said. And, as government employees, you're balancing heavier workloads, constant interruptions, and rising expectations for faster services. And especially perhaps more than ever before, staying focused and organized isn't optional, it's mission critical. So our expert today is going to break down the time management habits that will help government employees like you stay productive, reduce your stress levels, and keep pace with evolving mission demands. I have a few housekeeping items to run through first, so if you just bear with me. We have, in addition to the Next Gen agenda, like I mentioned, we have great resources available for you on the console, so just check out the resources button on the bottom of the screen. If you want to use closed captioning, just go to the show captions icon at the bottom of the panel. We don't want you to run into technical trouble, but if you do, just go to the Q&A tab and my colleague Maddie will help you out. You can also use that tab to ask questions of our speaker, and absolutely feel free to do so because we're looking forward to them. If you want to put questions or comments in that everybody can see, it's like an open forum, then use the chat button that's on the bottom panel also. We are recording today's discussion, so check out your inbox tomorrow because we're going to send you a link to this entire session on demand. And finally, and I'm talking as fast as I can, we are going to give out 1 CPE credit for your participation today. So to get the credit, just take all 3 polls, participate in the entire training, and then fill out the post-event evaluation form. So all that's out of the way. I want to introduce our speaker. We have with us Kristen Shattuck. She is Director of Training and Facilitation at Careerstone Group, and she has a really awesome PowerPoint. So thank you so much for being here, Kristen. I'll hand it over to you.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Candace. I appreciate it. Good afternoon. Hello. Thanks. Hi, Dolores. Dolores has warmed up the chat. Hi from Illinois. I'm joining you today from Arlington, Virginia, where it is snowy, but somehow also mild. So please let us know where you're joining us from today. And fill up the chat. Love to see your questions, comments. Remember, not just talking to me, we're talking to everybody on the session today. So time management is one of my favorite things to talk about. At Careerstone Group, I should shamelessly plug that we are a certified women-owned small business. We are headquartered in Washington, D.C., and we talk with groups about all kinds of things. And time management happens to be one of my absolute favorite things. So to kind of kick us off thinking about time management, right? Just this idea of like planning, right? Time is a vacuum, it's going to get filled up, right? And so today's session, I wish it was a magic wand that I was giving you that you could make all your time management, competing priorities, have this to me by yesterday. I completely understand having to do more with less. Today is designed with some real actionable strategies for you and people like you. So please make sure you share what you learned today with those on your team, and would love to see your comments in the chat and answer any questions too. So as we think about time management, my computer's a little slow. Sorry about that. Oh, thank you so much. So time management, we can move to the next slide too. It is in your control. It can feel very out of control, but want to encourage you to take control as much as you possibly can. We'll talk about some strategies today like time blocking, right? Time blocking is awesome, but we don't get to block all 40 hours, right? Like I wish that we could. I wish I could say, oh, every day I take lunch at noon, or every day I even have lunch, right? So again, thinking about how can you use the tips today in a way that's flexible, that makes sense for you, that makes sense for your team, and helps to enhance what you're already doing, not make it more burdensome. So you may notice this is an old Stephen Covey model for my Stephen Covey friends, the circle of control and influence. So today we're going to focus on controlling what we can control, and then focusing on, I think there's an animation here, like how can we influence, how can we expand our circle of influence? So, if my boss knows what's on my calendar or sees what's on my calendar, right, I am actually demonstrating what my priorities are, and that lets my supervisor know or my team know, like, okay, hey, yeah, I see she's heads down on this proposal or whatever it may be, right? And my boss at any time can say, hey, Kristen, I noticed your heads down on this. This seems to be taking you longer than I would have thought. Let's talk, let's meet, right? So of course, thinking about how you communicate your priorities and the way you're spending your time, it's a great way to signal what you value and what you prioritize in your organization and for your team. I'm going to try to go to the next slide. So today we're going to talk about a variety of things, including how can you set and maintain your priorities, manage your energy so that you're meeting the tasks with the energy required. We've got a couple strategies like Eisenhower matrix, right? I'm a huge fan of that. Time blocking, as I mentioned. And to me, I think that one of the most important ways that you can manage your time, this goes to that influence circle, is communicating your boundaries, right? So how can we manage up a little bit when it comes to like, hey, I really need to preserve more time, or hey, I know you asked me to do this, but like, where would we prioritize this against the 3,000 other things, right? So how can you communicate those boundaries as effectively as possible? So let's jump in, right? So when you think about your priorities, I want to encourage you, if you haven't already, likely you have with regards to your performance, professional development, what are your goals? Right? What are the goals that you have for yourself? Do you have a long-term goal for this calendar year, or this fiscal year, right? Are you trying to attend more trainings, right? Expand your professional learning? Are you trying to actively be a mentor, whatever it may be, right? Like what are your goals? And then I would say to you, who knows about these goals? When you communicate your goals, people can be on the lookout for resources for you. Hey, Kristen, I heard you say, or I know that part of your professional development plan this year is serving as a mentor or a sponsor. I just saw that they're having a training on XYZ, or we're getting a new person next month. I would love to match you up with them, right? So setting and establishing your goals is great, but we want to make sure that we're talking about them too, right? Who knows what's important to us, and how are we signaling that through the conversations that we're having, the goals that we're setting, and the way our calendars are structured. So I'm going to try to go to the next slide. So, very easily, easier said than done. I'm a to-do list gal. Any other to-do list people in my chat? When I'm feeling anxious, boy, do I love a good list, right? So just making that list. I also love crossing things off that list, right? So I am a to-do list person. Me and Carrie, and Amy. Oh, I'm seeing so many list people. I love to see it. One tip that I learned, I really love, I'll actually put it in the chat. I love the work of Laura Vanderkam. She wrote the book, something about, oh gosh, just look her up. She has like something, you have more time than you think, right? And so one of the tips that she talks about is actually tracking your time, right? Her research shows that there's a real difference. There's a real gap in how much time you think something takes versus how much time it actually takes. So when I know how long it takes me to write a proposal, I can block my time more effectively. Like when I know how much time it takes me to clean my kitchen, right? I don't block off the entire Saturday, right? And give up all the fun things I want to do, right? So again, you can't really know how to block your time until you're tracking it. That's kind of tip one. Tip two is make that to-do list on Friday afternoon. Almost think of it as a clearing of the deck, right? You might be noticing this. I'm starting to get more emails on Friday afternoons from people that I'm like, oh, I think I was on your to-do list before you closed out for the week, right? So you don't have to email people, right? But create your list of priorities for Monday morning so that you can hit the ground running. Your week takes on some structure. If you have the time to fill in some of those blocks on your calendar, the more the better, right? So think about making this to-do list. What and who do you need in order to accomplish this? And think about maybe even incorporating like, what are you not going to do? So a not to do list or a not doing list. Sorry, I think my computer's lagging again. I apologize. A not to do list, once you say what's important for the week, even think about creating like a headline. Like, oh, at the end of this week, I'll have written 3 proposals, or I'll have, finished that white paper, or I've got my concept note, or I've mentored that new employee and onboarded them successfully, right? Whatever that success headline is. And then think about what's going to come up to derail that, right? So, despite our best intentions, life happens. And so, building in a little bit of cushion and understanding how can I make those adjustments when needed, and how might you say no to the things that prevent your success, right? So again, thinking through, what are those obstacles that come to mind for you, whether it's like your open door policy. I'm seeing like getting to complete your list when so many people need your help. Yeah, makes it very difficult, right? So that's one of those things that can be derailing. Can you time block that? We're going to talk about how do you give a neutral no? How do you communicate your boundaries when people need or require that help from you? So next slide, please. I think I'm going to give up on my cursor at this point. So want you to think about some of your top workplace distractions. I think we can click through again. I think it's just an animation. Yeah. So, the water cooler, right? Clutter on your desk, tons of meetings, right? Because meetings just, they create more work, right? Other people, right, that need something from you or just want to vent to you or bounce ideas off of you, your email, the noise, social media, da da da, right? Lots of things distract us at work. Oh, I'm loving all of these questions. I can't wait to talk through them. We have a poll for this. I would love to hear from you. I think our next slide, we'll talk to you about the poll, and then there will be a pop-up screen. So don't use the chat for this. Please make sure you're using the poll. It should have popped up over the PowerPoint. If it didn't, if you're on a mobile device, you might need to swipe and see a different screen. So what are your top 2 workplace distractions? Candace, what are your top workplace distractions?
Um, Meetings. I have a lot of them. And um, I guess I'm going to go with other people because that ties in with meetings. So I guess I'll I guess I'll do that. But like we have Outlook calendars and such, and we block off, when our meetings are and everything. And that's just like heart crushing. Heart crushing, is that a thing?
Sure.
Soul crushing. Okay. When it's, you have all these meetings in your calendar is just so it's kind of defeating. Um, but there's no choice. So,
Yes, I
which would be
appreciate.
yours?
Yeah,
Which would
yeah.
be
For me,
yours?
I know it feels like I sort of feel a little like saying meetings. I'm like, well, meetings is part of work, right? I think for me, if I tend, I tend to be the kind of person that when I've taken some downtime, it can take me a minute to regroup. So on those days where I'm working from home, I try to like set a timer, right? So it's like, or I'll do like I'm gonna walk, or like a work from home day. It's like I'm gonna do something finite and get me back right into work. So for me, that's a tough one for me. And then I would say too, I think other people as well, just because I want to be open, I want to talk, I want to be helpful. So yeah, I think those are probably my biggest two. Yeah, seeing lots of good stuff in the chat as well.
We'll give everybody just like a 10 or so seconds or something. I will say with clutter, I love to-do lists. And sometimes, to cross stuff off, if I have big chunks of things I haven't done, I'll just put stuff I've already done so I can just cross it off.
That's right.
I think that's cheating. But like I've gotten like sometimes I'm just doing stuff fast, so I put stuff on post-it notes, but
Yeah.
then you get a lot of post-it notes, like really like stacks and stacks of post-it notes, and it's hard to find them. That counts as clutter. and it's not organized anymore.
Yeah, that does, yeah, how maybe your to-do lists become the problem, right? Like the time management solution that you think is working is maybe working less well. I
I
love
like it,
it.
a done list. I'm all good
Yes,
with that. I'll call it
that's
that. Okay,
great, Heidi.
I'm gonna end the poll. If you're unable to see the presentation, if you're unable to answer the poll for some reason, just just put in the Q&A tab, what your answer would be, because we want to give you a chance to get the CPE credit. So, okay, I'm gonna end the poll now.
Great. Excellent. Yeah, so
Um,
look how we did. Okay. Most of us, everyone, I think, said other people, followed very closely by meetings and email. Ooh, yeah. Sarah's like, just send me a message. Perfect. Perfect. Thanks, everybody. Yeah. So when we think about some of these distractions and how do we guard against them? Um, what we can think about a little bit is this notion of tracking or charting your energy, right? So how can you match your energy with the tasks that are required as much as possible, right? So thinking about your natural energy rhythms, right? And when you need to do something more complex, to what extent can you do that at the time that you have the most energy, right? So find your peak energy and where possible, aligning that as much as you can. We go to the next slide, please. So you can think about this as like, are you a lark, right? Are you a morning person? Are you an owl? Are you a nighttime high energy person? Or are you a hummingbird? You sort of flit, or the time the kind of energy kind of dips throughout the day, right? So we have this shared as a resource for you in the tabs at the bottom on the gray button bar. You're welcome to take this as it feels comfortable for you. We're just going to ask you to kind of think about how would you chart your energy right now, like these days, right? So I I want you to reserve the right to be flexible, right? I would say like when my kids were small, anything after 7 p.m., you could forget about it. Like it just was not going to happen. I was done. I was cooked. It was over, right? I was not going to return to like emails or like complex work or anything big once the kids were in bed. I just wasn't, right? And so at that time, my mornings very high energy, right? And my evenings very low energy. As my kids got older and they started to have like evening activities and I'm running carpool and I'm doing, I couldn't believe how much stuff I could get done in the evening. I was like a new person. So again, this will change for you over time, and that's okay. That's supposed to happen, right? So thinking about what feels right for you, what are some of your natural cadences, and then yeah, I'm seeing some folks saying it too, like I'm a hummingbird. Let's see what you are. I have a poll for you. I think there's an animation, like once you fill out the chart, connect the dots and it'll help you to kind of determine, again, every day is not the perfect day, but where this person, for example, may feel most comfortable and confident on complex tasks might be the morning, right? So you don't have to fill out this chart just yet, but just thinking it through. What peak energy type are you? Do you feel like you're a morning person? Are you the evening or nighttime? Are you the night owl? Or do you feel like you're more of the hummingbird? Oh, yeah, I'm seeing some great comments in the chat as well. Mornings right now are quiet. You can get some concentrated work done. That's amazing. Dolores is like, I don't care what year I fill this out, I will always be a morning person. Love it. How about you?
this is hard.
Yeah, yeah. How so? Because it changes so much, do you feel like? Or,
Um, I guess so. I mean, I guess so. I mean, I kind of stay up late. Well, sort of. Well, I don't know, but I'm not especially productive. This is not really making much sense. But I really don't know. I think it depends on the day is what's going on. And like, my husband, he's recently, well, for a while now, he wakes up at 4:30 in the morning and he goes to work super early and stuff.
Yeah.
So even when he's sleeping late for him is like 6:30 in the morning because
Wow.
he just can't sleep later. He used to be able to sleep until noon. So his like clock just totally changed.
Changed. Yeah.
So, I think it can change because he had no choice.
Yeah.
So, um, yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
we
again,
are
if you don't
we
see
are
the poll,
adaptable.
just put your answer in the Q&A. Um,
Yes,
yeah.
please. Please do. Because again, we don't want this should not be an exercise in frustration. If you're not able to see the poll, let us know what you think your peak energy type might be. I'm seeing some people say like, oh wow, like every day is a different day. So true. Again, every strategy isn't necessarily going to work at this moment in time for you. Again, thinking about like, might this be helpful information for someone on your team, right? If you're coaching someone or mentoring someone or trying to guide someone who's maybe having little struggles with time management, right? Talk to them about their energy levels. What seems like it might work best for them. I like, as I was saying, like for me, like regrouping after like a break, for me, it's really helpful to have something I'm really looking forward to or something that feels like a quick win right after like a break is great for me. And so again, where I can, I do structure some of those things, but I don't get to pick every day.
I'll end the poll now.
Oh, sorry, Dennis.
Um, so this is this is, I guess, more even. There are more hummingbirds than I thought, to be
Yeah.
truthful.
There are the majority hummingbirds, right? Or is it the majority? I don't know. It's a lot of people. It's more people followed pretty closely by larks. And then we have
Yeah.
we have a few, yeah, what, 20%?
Yeah.
25% owls? Oh, interesting. I know
Yeah.
oh. Ramona's like, it's too early for me to vote. I'm an owl. I
That's
love
funny.
it. I love it. Yeah.
I like
So
that.
I guess thinking about your energy levels and how and when you're able to align them, what might feel most like success for you, right? So again, like in those days where I knew like, and I saw someone else wrote that too, like I am tapped out by like or like late afternoon, right? Great. Like that is so good and so healthy to know about yourself, right? So in terms of, I'm probably not sending my best emails late, right? Or if you lead a team and everybody is a lark, probably a good idea to have those meetings where you're making decisions in the morning, right? So again, like it's not, not enough. Don't keep this to yourself. Talk about this with your teams, right? Like when do people feel the most energetic? When do they feel the most really plugged in? And how might you leverage that in order for you and your team and the work to be as successful as possible? So, you know, there's an animation here, I think, as well. Just, I think it's just kind of circling like the ideal zone. So, thinking about this stress performance, right? So, we don't want you to be so low stress or things to feel so low stakes that you're completely bored out of your mind, right? We don't want that. Like, have you had that job where you're like, it's been a while for me, but I've definitely had jobs where I was watching the clock, right? And I was like, never again. Like, this is not for me. I do not like this, right? And we also don't want you to go to the other extreme where the pressure is so intense that you are underperforming, right? So we want to find this sweet spot, right? And finding that sweet spot, a lot of that really is about self-awareness. And it can be like, gosh, hey, usually I'm somebody that like I can really execute regularly. Like I'm noticing like I am struggling. Is this a time thing? Is this a pressure thing? Like what's happening here? And right. So we want to have a little bit of stretch and strain, but not so much that it tips the scales, right? And so how can you be aware of that? What are some of the signs that you know about yourself? And how might you help communicate that with others, right? So I think, for me, it'll be things like I would rather die than miss a deadline, like sort of that person, right? Like even if it's like takes like the lion's effort to get it done, I will communicate it, right? But I also feel like, oh, that's not really me, right? Like what is happening here, right? There may be a little bit of stress and pressure in ways that I'm not perhaps aligning my time, my energy, the work that I'm being asked to do. And then how do we talk about it, right? So thinking about managing your stress is a direct result of managing your time, right? And so how can we be more successful at managing our time and aligning our time with those things that, again, align with when we can complete more complex tasks, when we have our open door policy, come on in, I'd love to hear from you, this is great, like I have time for office hours or whatever it may be, if you tend to be the go-to person, right? So again, it's not that we should expect no stress. We want that healthy stress to help us feel motivated, engaged, and accomplished. Next slide, please. So I'm a huge fan of the Eisenhower decision matrix. This may, again, be familiar to you. I do want to point out that there is a typo on this slide. I just noticed it. In the delete, eliminate spell wrong. So please forgive me. That is like really distressing to me. But
you missed your deadline to fix it.
I missed my deadline to fix it, is exactly right. And I don't even feel that stressed. It's just all my fault. I wasn't looking carefully. I liked the colors and I didn't really pay attention to the grammar. So love an Eisenhower matrix. This is also, if you lead teams, this is an awesome exercise to do. So I love to do this. You can do it on a whiteboard in a Zoom or on Teams. You can do it in person, right? Give everybody Post-it notes. I give everybody like 60 seconds. Write down one task per Post-it notes and just brain dump, brain. And then you have them put their Post-its on the matrix. If it's important and urgent, I feel like I need to do it right now. If it's important but not urgent, I'm going to schedule a time for it to be done. Not important but urgent, I can delegate it. Maybe someone else can do it. Maybe someone is better suited. If it's not important and not urgent, it needs to go. Typically what you have is everybody has do, decide, some delegate, and almost no delete. Oftentimes we feel like, how could I possibly take anything off my plate? How often does this happen? A new initiative comes through. The plate is full, right? The little pieces are hanging on to dear life, right? But, right? How might we set aside some time to say like, hey, what can we sunset? Or what can we deprioritize in order to be goal aligned, be mission aligned, really make sure that we're executing on the things that are the most important, right? So oftentimes things that go by the wayside tend to be this turquoise, this decide, right? It's important, but it's not urgent. Therefore, I will personally say like, okay, I'll do this after work today. Or I'm going to do this between meetings, or that is where a lot of the stress can come, right? So thinking about how might you plan your time according to this matrix. A great exercise for your team as well, so you can see where the thinking is. This is so great to check alignment with your folks on your team, right? Like, what are you doing spending all that time on? Fill in the blank, right? Like, oh my gosh, like, we need to talk, right? Sometimes we feel like email is in the green box. It's not. And email does not tend to need to be in that green box. It's important, and some things are urgent, right? But again, talk as a team. This will also show what your team values, what's important, where are the pain points, where are the pride points, where are there people who could be delegated to, right? There are people who always could learn something, right? They're like, oh, is this an opportunity for growth, right? Kind of going back to, do we know what our goals are? Are we talking about our goals? Are we talking about the things that are important to us professionally? And yeah, Kenyatta, it's so like, okay, it's important, it's urgent, I'm gonna stop everything and just do that right now, right? Asking that second question, it feels very urgent. How important is it in this moment in time, right? So again, thinking about this Eisenhower decision matrix for you, we have one last poll for you. Curious to hear from you, what category is the most difficult for you? Is it hard for you to delete things? Is it hard for you to delegate things? Do you feel like you struggle a little bit with deciding?
Hmm. So I am trying to launch this.
Okay, all good.
Hmm. Why don't we continue? Because I'm not
Sure.
entirely sure why this is not launching.
Um,
Ah, got it.
does that work?
Okay. Yes.
Great. Great. Oh, thank you. I see Michelle's like all of the above. Yeah, I wish we had like multi-choice, right? We'd click them all. Yeah. So thinking about for this, um, the work we do is important. The work we do has real value, and it can feel uncomfortable to say like, oh, just not gonna do it. So deleting definitely can be something that is tricky. We know delegating can be so hard. Candace, what about you? What do you feel like are the categories that feel tough for you when it comes to managing
I
your
have
time?
trouble delegating
Yeah. Why do you think that is?
because it's easier to just do it.
Yeah.
And because I know exactly what I want. And so I don't need to edit myself. You know what I mean? It's
I
just
do.
and it's not a question of not like trusting other people. It's just it's just easier
Yeah.
usually. Because sometimes I feel like by the time I explain what's necessary, I just could have done it. But that's not helpful because then it's not a learning experience because then the next time it's the same situation. And then I think, well, afterwards, I'll just, say what I did as like a retrospective so that going forward, but I never get time to do that, like rarely. So it's like a vicious cycle. So I'm not really helping myself.
Yeah. I know. I know. I will say
I
one
have
thing.
no tips to offer.
Right? I will say like one thing we do with that I've done with some coaching clients who struggle in that delegate category is we make it a priority to decide what can be delegated when and to whom, right? So like in the moment it can be exactly what you're saying. Like one, there's nobody just sitting around here with nothing to do, right? So like I saw
Yeah,
someone write like I don't delegate because I have nobody to delegate to, right? Like I know I feel your pain, right?
there's
So
that.
there is that absolutely. Thinking about okay, as you said, like it's more of a retrospective. That's fine. Maybe the retrospective ends with okay, and Kristen, next time this comes up, this one's on you, right? And it's about, as you said, not like I don't trust you to do it, but I know how I like it to be done. I know what constitutes a great job. We don't all have a lot of time for this. So I'll just do it myself, right? And so again, like we have to slow down. We have to build in time, right? Because now if you delegate it to me, you got to build in a benchmark, right? I got to show you there's a deadline. Okay, Kristen, show me what you did, and then you may have to edit anyway. So many things can really get in the way of delegating. But again, think about what is helpful to not just you, but to that person you're delegating to. Right. Again, it can
That's
be a
very
growth
true.
opportunity. Yeah. How is it a growth opportunity? How, especially if it's goal aligned, right? If you know, if you
Yeah,
guys are actively talking about your goals and you're like, oh, a budget
no, it's very
spreadsheet.
true.
Yeah. Like, here you go, Kristen. This sounds like just the task for you. Yeah. Great. All right.
I'm
Thank
not
you.
alone.
You're not alone. Oh my gosh, look at that. Almost double the people said delegate, right? Two times the result on delegation can be so difficult either because those people don't exist, right? Or those roles don't exist, or like even sadly those roles don't exist anymore, right? That's
Yeah.
a new sort of place we find ourselves in, and then followed by delete. Yeah, for sure. Nobody like, yeah. It's hard to say no. It's hard to take things off of our plates. It's hard to sunset things. But when we can, do we? And again, yeah, I think Karina, thank you. Like, it is very hard to switch back when you haven't had a staff for a while, right? You've done things yourself, right? Or in times of tons of turnover, really can be difficult too. Yeah, Dennis, delegating unimportant tasks is not hard, all right? Agree. But those more time consuming, those more complex or complicated or mission critical can be very time consuming. Where might I allow a little more time for some of that? So a couple of strategies. We can go to the next slide. Sorry, it's it's not wanting to work for me. We can move to the next one too, is this component of time blocking, right? A lot of people think time blocking looks like this first column on the left, right? Just bang, 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 bang. Like the whole day, right, is completely filled with a bunch of haphazard, right? Haphazard sort of activities. This is also one of those things, like think about that circle of control. I know that a lot of times your calendar does feel like it's completely outside of your control, but where can you block that heads down work, right? That important, not urgent. If you even gave yourself 1 hour a week, 1 hour, just put it on your calendar and like don't move it, right? And you're busy no matter what, no matter who asks you, right? Like you claim that hour for yourself. I will say the column on the right, I think doesn't have enough breaks in it, right? Because you do need some transition time. Like there is such a thing as needing to, go get another coffee or stand up, right? Like we need to do these things, right? So again, thinking about how you might block your time. I worked a previous job where it was consulting, but it was a lot of like in the field, like with clients out and about. And everybody had to block their email. You had to block 30 minutes in the morning, 30 minutes after lunch, and 30 minutes at the end of the day. And it was kind of nice because it signaled to, at least internally, I'm going to get back to you, but you may be waiting until like my after lunch block or my 4:30 block, whatever it may be. Think about that. Think about that task you're trying to wrangle, right? What is it? Is it email? Are you in that mode of like, ding, respond, and you're just responding to people all day, right? How can you control that more effectively, right? So you can even add it. Well, you might not be able to anymore, but you can add it to your signature line or let people that you know internally, like, hey, my goal is, I'm going to respond to external customers within a business day. Internally, I'll let me know if it's urgent and I'll respond right away, right? So again, like, how might you, yeah, right. Jean is like, I'd love to block my email, but yeah, when your boss contacts you, you need to be responsive, right? So again, thinking about what is important, what is goal aligned for you? Is it mentoring, right? Is it taking time for professional development? Like here you are, you can block 1 hour every other month, right? For trainings like these, right? How do you do that? You claim the time first, right? It's very rare that I will. So there's at least one person on my team that I always say yes to, and that's my boss. So she sees something blocked, she's like, I see you have like kind of heads down time for X. Could I schedule us a 15-minute call, or would you mind taking this client call from me? I always say yes, right? So again, like there are people who will always co-opt your calendar, and that's okay. That's life, right? But can you claim your time before someone or something else can? We can go to the next slide, please. So yeah, thinking about how you want to control your email, scheduling those times, set a timer. I actually set a timer during the day for scrolling on social media. Like it's like 15 minutes when the timer's up, I'm done, right? So think about the 1 minute rule. Someone mentioned this earlier. Like if you can answer this email in less than a minute, just do it. Get it off your plate. Just to, make sure you're not spending the whole day doing this, right? 1 minute rule. If it takes less than 1 minute, answer that question now, respond to that person, or, hey, this is going to require a longer conversation, put 15 minutes on my calendar that you and I can check in, whatever it is, right? Unsubscribe from stuff you don't need or follow or spam that has entered your email life. So time consuming. Making sure that, we're BCCing people properly. We're not replying all to everything. I always say with your emails, these people, you see their name come up in your inbox and your heart goes, oh, right? Because it's long, or you're like, I don't even know what they're asking me to do, or like this again. Right? I don't want you to be that person. When your name pops up, when people say, oh, yay, help people help you. Yes, Nora, this is exactly it. This is that email etiquette. So if I'm asking Candace, there is a difference between, hi, Candace, thank you so much for reviewing this report for me. Where does that go in Candace's list of things to do? to the bottom because I didn't tell her when I needed it. I didn't tell her really why I needed it. There's a big difference between, hey, Candace, here's the report. I would appreciate your feedback by Thursday close of business because I need to get this to our supervisor by noon on Friday. Thank you so much. Then Candace can say, hey, no can do, right? Like, not, I can't meet your deadline, or I need more time than this, right? I can get it to you by Friday morning, whatever it may be, right? So again, thinking about help people help you. Make your subject line, it shouldn't say Friday's meeting. It should say Friday, March 6th meeting, so that I can more easily go through, even though Microsoft wants to pretend like it never heard of these emails when you do a search, right? But like you can find them, right? So again, like get my focus immediately. Do not reply if you're going to send it to a bunch of people. Use the BCC, right? Put your name. It's to you, and you blind copy everybody else so that people are not all responding like, yes, thank you. Oh, yes, thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
That's just noise.
That's just noise. That is email chatter. We don't need it, right? So again, thinking through, I'd love to see you put in the chat to share with one another. What are some other ways that you control your email strategies or tools that you use that might be helpful to other folks? Next slide, please. All right. So this to me can tend to be a trickier thing to do, but I think there's an animation here. How can you negotiate so we're not saying yes to everything? As I said, I have just been socialized to like almost never tell my boss no to anything. I've kind of always been like that, right? However, I have learned to give more of what I call a neutral no. So let's talk a little bit about what that means. So the first way, I think this is the next slide, please. The first way to communicate your boundaries, right, is, thinking about like, what are the things that really matter, right? Like I can't say no to everything, right? Like what are those things that are time sensitive? What are those things that are mission aligned? Do I have a new person on my team and I have yet to meet them? That matters, right? I need to get those things on my to-do list, right? So there are certainly many things that we can't say no to, but there are certainly many, many other things that we can. So one easy way, I think this is the next slide, please, is PDA. And not the PDA you're thinking of when you used to get in trouble in high school. So talking about positive response, decline, and offer an alternate solution. So if we could go to the next slide, please. There are those among you, you are here on this webinar. I know you are brave souls. You can just do the positive response and decline. And for that, hats off. If you're like me and you're like, oh, I just don't feel like I can stop with the no, right? So, hey, I would love to chat with you more about this, but my to-do list is completely packed today. Could we follow up tomorrow? Is this something I could answer via a quick email, right? So I got good advice at the start of my career. People who are emailing you to death, get them on the phone or face-to-face. People who are on the phone or face-to-face with you all the time, get them on email, right? Get them out of their little comfort zone, right? Because if it's not important on email, then it's not important in person, right? If it's just the way you like to communicate and not so helpful for everybody else, then that's a good note that maybe it's not as important as you might think it is, right? So what are some things that you can do? So for those of you who are in our chat saying like, oh my gosh, I definitely am the go-to person. I don't feel like I can say no to people, or it's kind of my office feels like a revolving door. Set up some office hour blocks. Communicate those on your calendar a couple times a day, a couple times a week as you're able, right? And when your head's down or doors closed, yep, I see you, I hear you, send me a quick email, put 15 minutes on our calendar, communicate to people. How can you reach me? Because you don't necessarily get to reach me in every moment of every day, right? So for some of us, it's coming up with that alternative solution that can help us feel like we're not necessarily saying no. We're saying like maybe not now or not in this particular way. Can we go to the next slide, please? And that gets us really, this is a couple different clicks, I think. This is the neutral no. If you really are saying no, ask for some more information, right? The thing that defines a neutral no is that it is not emotional. It's not because I'm about to lose my mind, I'm going to tell you no. Or you're the 13th person to ask me today, and I don't even know what to say at this point, right? Like, no, that's not a neutral no. That's not a professional no, right? The neutral no, I am in a position to ask you, like, give me some specifics about what you want. Those of you who work for those bosses that, like, they hear a podcast or they read and they're like, we're going to do this. This is where you ask that, hey, scale of 1 to 10, or how would you have us prioritize this against the work we're currently doing, right? Get more information. Is it something that's very easy for you to do, or something you know someone on your team is very capable of, or would be a great stretch opportunity or growth opportunity for you or someone on your team? Do it, right? We don't want to give the bad no, right? That's the emotional no. That's the I just don't like it on its face, or you asked me 3 times already, right? We want to make sure that when we say no, we're saying it for a reason that it is valid, has value, and does not hurt the relationship, right? So again, that's where that uninflected, clear, neutral no can be very helpful to you. We can go to the next slide. So yeah, there's some bonus tips, right? Like where you can keep your schedule. If you're a to-do list person, keep it up. Think about your desktop audit, right? Like what can you clean? How can your clutter? Desktop counts your computer monitor as well. Like get those nasty files off there. Like that's just stressing you out when you see that. Ask for help when you need it, and you probably need it more than you think you do, right? Have that accountability buddy, have that person that you trust that you can say like, hey, I'm struggling here, or hey, I don't know, I want to say no to this. Is that the right thing to do, right? Ask for that help that you need. Be on time when you can be on time. And I would love to hear some additional tips and questions that you have as well. I think we have one more slide. Might just be the thank you slide. Yeah, let's hear your questions.
Sure. So we had one question that came in a while ago in the chat. So I'll go back to that one first. So how do you track time for your, okay, I'll try again. How do you track your time for projects when they involve other people? So basically, I guess, you can't control other people. So how do you track, how that's, how you plan for it?
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, I think that right, I can control myself, I can influence other people, right? So I think in that, when I have other folks involved, I think being over communicating is probably the first step, right? Like over communicating. I think also have timelines. Like this is something like let's have a status update on Friday, right? Let's get a and then through, like, you'll develop a cadence, right? You'll know who are the people that are always going to make those deadlines. You'll know the people who need a little more finessing and things like that. But I think, the most important thing is communicate, talk about the end game. What is a great project? What does a great conclusion to this look like? And then give people some parameters, right? So like when I've done this in the past, it's been about 20 to 30 minutes. Or when I've done this in the past, it's taken about 3 of us a good half day, right? So talk about what your expectations are, and then ask people to track their own time too. Like, hey, I would love to know if you're finding something similar, if there's a way we might collaborate better. So again, just structuring those status updates, talking, over communicating.
There's another question. I'm very good at managing my time, except in 2 situations. So the first one is when I'm doing a project I hate. I think we all can relate to that. And the second one is when I have no project and have 8 hours of training. So what suggestions do you have for someone like me? Either for both of those cases, I guess, or for just one of them. I
Yeah,
relate to both.
I know, me too, right? So I will say one thing I know has worked wonders for me, and I know I coach a lot of clients for whom they say something similar. Set a timer for 20 minutes. Just get started. 20 minutes. By 20 minutes, it's that Pomodoro method. But just don't do the 20 minutes on, 5 and 5. Don't. Just set a timer for 20 minutes. If it's really heinous, set it for 10. But 20 minutes seems to be that sweet spot where your brain and your body will make that adjustment, and you can start to move into more of a flow state, or it remains heinous and horrible and you need a break, right? So then set a timer for 5 minutes, take a break, and then come back to it either later that day or put time on your calendar then. I would also say that's a great place to use that peak energy, right? Like don't do it when you're at your lowest energy. I would also say find an accountability buddy, right? Or go do it at a coffee shop or something, right? Like change your environment, right? Make it something
Mm.
fun or at least pleasant.
Funner.
Funner. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I was an English major, can you tell? Um,
And sorry, the second part of that question.
the second part is, or when I have no project and have 8 hours of training. So training, yay, also everybody's fun, most
I
fun.
know. Yeah, so I would say when the training or whatever it is feels a little bit like a slog to you. Set a goal, set your intention for like 2 to 3 things. What do you personally want to get out of this training? Is it something like this where it's very chat, right? Everybody's been so engaged, right? And you want to network. Maybe one of your goals is I want to network. I'm going to send a couple of DMs to 3 different people today, ask them for a virtual coffee or a meeting or just to touch base afterwards, right? Maybe that's one of your goals. Set 3 goals that are just for you. What do you want to learn? What do you want to get out of this? Maybe it's even I want to ask 3 questions. Great, right? Or um I'm gonna take a break, right? I'm gonna take a break. I'm gonna let the moderator know. I have to step away for 15 minutes. Preserve your time. Like go stand outside, like whatever it is, right? Like get your peace, and maybe that's something you can every 2 hours. Maybe you take a 15-minute break, right? But I would say set 3 goals for yourself for that specific training. One that's related to the content, one that's maybe related to connection, and one that's related to your own learning or peace. So Jean's like, what a
I
break,
love that
right?
because with training, like your employer or whatever sets the goals for you, but I never thought about you setting goals for yourself, like what you're going to get out of the training or how you're going to approach it. I never thought about that, so that's a really cool way to look at it. Um, I cannot believe that we've like hit the time limit.
I'm so sorry.
So no, no, no. This has been wonderful. So I just want to let everybody know. I know there's been some conversation in the chat about getting the and being able to see the presentation and stuff. And as Maddie has been telling everybody, you will get all of this stuff in the email we send tomorrow, the presentation and the on-demand recording and all of that. But I thank you so much, Kristen. I really appreciate it. I
Thank
told you
you.
everybody she had a great PowerPoint, and and you made me think about a lot of things. So I just want to thank everybody. I do have quick reminders. Like I said, check your email because you're going to get that on-demand link and all that kind of stuff. And just don't forget, like there were a bunch of resources in the console. If you had trouble getting them, just reach out to us and we'll respond. So on behalf of GovLoop and NextGen and WAPA, I really hope you enjoyed our conversation today, and we appreciate all the work that you do every day. So have a great rest of your day. Thanks, Kristen.
Thank you. This is a pleasure. What a great group.